exclusion.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was one of the deciding factors.
Yeah.
Like college football
Well,
overtime.
that's fantastic. Yesterday, supporters of private school education in Minnesota, which features 70,000 kids in Minnesota, attend non-public schools.
Okay.
They gathered in the rotunda of the Capitol. Neither newspaper covered it, but there was some coverage. Tom Hauser was there. He did a piece. And
Is he right wing or left wing according to emailers?
Tom Hauser?
Yeah.
Completely unknown what he is.
I was
No,
asked
according to
MC the event.
emailers, he asked. Yeah,
Right.
depends on the day.
They were there arguing to preserve the $109 million that for 50 years, a figure, I don't think it's been $109 million for 50 years, but in a completely bipartisan level, back when this state actually was something to be proud of, a bipartisan agreement to fund the non-public schools. And what that means, by the way, is the little private Catholic school, for example, does not get a check from the state.
Right.
That's not the way it works. Whatever district that little school happens to be in, they can apply for the funding based on the needs that are covered in the law. So they can say, we have some busing needs and we have some textbook needs, and yes, we need a school nurse at least for this amount of time.
Right.
And that money is then dispensed by the district that the smaller school is in. And in a completely disingenuous display of his ideology, Walz could be the first governor to subtract that money from the reach of the private schools. He's completely mean-spirited. He doesn't govern all the people in Minnesota. He has no financial responsibility, and for him to claim that he's attempting to balance the budget is an absolute joke. $109 million could not make much of a dent in a $6 billion deficit that he created by allowing $18 billion surplus to be spent. So and I really doubt, given the way we've headed in this once glorious state, I really doubt there's a single Democrat who would vote to preserve the private school funding. They're all ideologically corrupt as far as I'm concerned.
Even if their own kids were in private school.
Yep.
I was asked to MC that event yesterday.
What event? The gathering at the Rotunda?
The Independent, yeah. I turned it down when I realized there was going to be unpaid.
Really?
Well, it was at 1:30, so it was during the show. I couldn't do it anyway.
We would have paid you to go.
Thanks. I would
What
have
were they
known
serving?
that.
What were they serving?
Good lunch. Taco buffet.
Oh,
Wow.
The Republicans, of course, support funding the schools. House Republicans will not agree to an education bill that cuts non-public pupil aid, said Representative Harry Niska, a Republican from Ramsey. He led 24 Republicans to the rally to show their support. We will not agree to an education budget bill that cuts the critical funding and leaves our next generation behind. It's criminal of Walz to behave this way. He's a dark soul. He's not a good guy. That's the worst compliment. That's the worst thing I can say
He's
about
not
somebody.
one of the guy.
He's not a guy. He's just not a guy. And I hope that he's defeated in this. I have no idea. But to claim that this is done in the interest of fiduciary responsibility is criminal in and of itself. These are the same people who Democrats wish to completely fund. Where is it? I have a piece of paper in front of me. They wish to completely fund all tuition for illegals. All right.
Yeah.
University of Minnesota wants undocumented students to get tax-funded tuition. We were talking before this show. And they're doing this even given the current climate when they know ICE is on the prowl for undocumented people. They don't care. Their ideology trumps the real world.
it's so amazing. On one website I have up from Sahan Journal, headline, ICE crackdown on international students spurs fear, but also resolve. So with that in mind, you go right over to the U of M website where you can find resources for undocumented students in the Minnesota Dream Act. So it seems like they're promoting that they want to have the undocumented there, right?
Right.
And get federal and state funding, knowing there's a damn good chance they'll get swept up by ICE. What the hell? What is that?
You elect the people you elect because you're not paying attention in many cases. And then something that affects your life hits you. And you realize that maybe you shouldn't have voted for the Democratic Socialist just because that person had the most signs in the urban area. I'll give you a brief example. There's a...
Close to home?
Well, not really.
Oh.
I don't live in the north end of St. Paul near Como.
Okay.
That's Ward 5. They're represented by a woman of South Korean nationality. Hwa, look her name up for Hwa. I can't pronounce her last name.
How do you spell Hwa?
I think it's HWA.
Got it.
And she, among the least diverse city council in America, she was one of the gals elected to represent the council on behalf of the city of St. Paul at the League of American Cities, a League of Cities. And she doesn't go to the meetings. She's missed all but 2 of the meetings.
Yep.
She's missed 10 meetings. She also is very...
Hwa Kim.
Yeah. She's also very tardy, if at all, even if present, at city council meetings. She's missed a great percentage of... And she represents the Como area. And you had a chance to elect a woman there named Pam Tollefson. I believe we might have had her on the air.
I think we did. Yeah.
And she was a 62-year-old businesswoman who has lived in the Como area all her life, grew up in Minnesota, knew the ropes, knew the language, knew the whole deal, and was soundly defeated by this woman who had the backing of every union in St. Paul, had the backing of the Democratic Socialists, had no interest whatsoever in representing the city because she wouldn't have known how to.
Right.
There's absolutely no interest in any of these council people in either city representing what happens in real life. So now here comes the tree cutters from St. Paul, and they're slashing down as many trees as they can find in Como for expansion of sidewalks and bike paths.
Yeah, it's the sidewalk deal.
And these people demanded a meeting with Hwa
Kim, and her husband she's Korean, Hwa Sup.
They sought a meeting with her, and she did not grant them one. They went completely unrepresented with an issue that was hitting very close to home in the real world, and she was nowhere to be seen. And then we're told, well, she went on vacation, which would tempt me to say, from what? Right. She doesn't work. She's never worked. She's a professional activist.
Executive director, nonprofit,
she's
former legislative aide.
To a city council member.
Right.
She's never worked. None of the council people in Minneapolis have ever worked. And it's the